first time, Faith Communities in Action, also known as FCIA, or FCIA, yes, is a county-wide network of houses of worship, faith communities, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, county agencies, and county partners that are committed to fostering communication, building collaboration, and strengthening human service resources throughout Fairfax County. So this is actually our last network meeting of 2025. And I'm happy to share that we have a very important and timely conversation lined up for this evening. So we'll be hearing from the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, who will share critical information on this year's hypothermia shelter season and how houses of worship can get involved. We'll also hear from Fairfax County Police Department, who will provide practical safety tips for houses of worship during this season. We also have a presentation from Coordinated Services Planning with an overview of the basic needs resources available across the county. And we will also hear from Supervisor Stork's office. Now, I do want to acknowledge that the flow of the information being presented tonight may feel a little bit wonky. We've had to make some adjustments to accommodate competing schedules, so I appreciate your flexibility. Nonetheless, all the information is still pertinent to how you can support our community. So before we begin, it is my honor to welcome our special guest. And Diego, you can let me know if Supervisor Stork is here yet. And if he's not here, Diego will be speaking on Supervisor Stork's behalf. So thank you, Supervisor Dan Stork's office. He's from the Mount Vernon district. And Diego or Supervisor Stork, whichever one is here, please feel free to share some opening remarks.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking some time today to come ahead and get together. Unfortunately, Supervisor Stork was not able to make the meeting. They are still in public hearings at the board, but I'll be sharing a couple of opening remarks on his behalf. So as I mentioned before, it's nice to see so many friends and familiar faces at tonight's meeting. Fairfax County is strengthened every day by the compassion and service that our vibrant faith community, whose ministries fill sort of critical gaps in care and support across the county. We recognize that the challenges that our residents face cannot be addressed solely by local government and nonprofits alone. The need is simply too great. So I would like to say that your ministries, your volunteers, your parishioners are essential partners in this work, and that your continued leadership is vital to the health and dignity of our community. You guys provide food, clothing, shelter, fellowship, financial assistance, spiritual care where it's needed most with our most vulnerable populations. And Supervisor Stork and myself, I'm very deeply grateful for everything that you do, particularly in the Mount Vernon district along the Richmond Highway corridor, in particular, the generosity and leadership of our faith centers is especially critical. So today, Supervisor Stork wanted to extend his appreciation to Ventures in Community and Rising Hope Mission Church, specifically Reverend Cameron Wilds, for their dedication as we head into the winter months. Rising Hope and Vic play a direct role in supporting hypothermia, sheltering, and daytime drop-in services in the South County area, and we remain profoundly thankful for that service. So as we look ahead, Supervisor Stork and myself ask that you deepen your engagement and help inspire your congregations, your members, and your surrounding communities to do even more. We encourage your membership to volunteer, donate essential items, support the shelters, partner with local charities, and uplift the organizations that are on the front lines, working tirelessly along the Richmond Highway corridor. The more hands and hearts we bring together, the stronger our impact will be. So I will be here for the entirety of the meeting. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. I will also be putting in my information into the chat, as well as our office's information, so feel free to reach out to us at any time. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'm excited for today's presentations.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Diego, for sharing that message from Supervisor Stork. We appreciate his leadership, encouragement, and continued support of the faith community here in Fairfax County. So now we will move right along. Next, we are joined by Sean Reed from the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness. He will walk us through the hypothermia program, current needs, and how houses of worship can play a vital role in this season. Sean, thank you for being here this evening, and please take it away. Let's
Hi, thanks, Lindsay. So good evening, everyone. As Lindsay had introduced, my name is Sean Reed, and I serve with the Department of Housing and Community Development in the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness, also known as OPEH. I serve there as the Director for Homeless Services, and so I'm responsible for leading a team of program managers who provide contract monitoring and support of all of our homeless services program that are funded by the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors in our annual county budget. So I've been with the county about a year and a half now. Previously worked with a nonprofit organization regionally that worked on issues of homelessness. And so I'm very glad to be able to join you all this evening and talk about the importance of partnership in our community. Next slide, please. So first, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the county's vision when it comes to the work of ending homelessness. And there are three specific areas that we focus on. One is that we believe that everyone should have a place that is safe and affordable, where they can live and they can conduct their business, they can raise families in the county, they can engage in economic opportunities, and to thrive. We also believe that ending homelessness is a shared responsibility, that it doesn't take solely the government, but all hands are essential in the work to ending homelessness, whether it be faith communities, nonprofit organizations, advocates, or community groups. They are essential in coming together for us to meet the goal of ending homelessness in our community. And finally, we do this work guided by equity, compassion, and collaboration. And so we utilize the county's One Fairfax equity lens in all of our policies, in all of our programs. We use this, and we very heavily utilize the voice of those who have lived experience, those who have experienced homelessness, to lend their experience in helping us to draft policy and programs. Next slide, please. So I do want to just give like a really quick overview about the various programs that we do have here within Fairfax County and that are supported by the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness. Some of those programs include prevention and diversion. And so this is really important when we are looking at what is it that is leading into the experience of homelessness for households within the county. Prevention and diversion is a way to how can we help a family stay in their home. So whether that is through eviction prevention, case management services, or connections to other community resources, or through diversion. And diversion is a practice where we work with households to see what are the other resources that are available. If we're not able to prevent the loss of their current home, can we help connect them with other friends, families, or other supports within their community where they could potentially stay for a brief period of time while they also receive community case management to look for that next housing opportunity with a little bit of financial support. A huge part of what we do here in out of the Office of Prevent and End Homelessness is that we support 6 emergency shelters. 3 of them do serve adults-only households, and those are located at the Eleanor Kennedy Shelter in along the Richmond Highway outside of Fort Belvoir, the Bailey Shelter in Supportive Housing at Bailey's Crossroads, and then at the Embry Rucker Community Shelter in Reston. We also have 3 emergency shelters for households with children, and those are located also in the South County with the Next Steps Family Shelter, also along Route 1, and then with the Fair Ridge Family Shelter in the Fairfax area, and then the Kate Hanley Family Shelter. So we have 3 for each of those different household groups. The adults-only household shelters at Kennedy, Bailey's, and Embry Rucker, they are our leaders in providing both the hypothermia care during the cold weather months, but also expand services during the heat emergencies that we do experience here in Northern Virginia. And so during that time, they will expand their services to allow for people to come indoors during those extreme weather situations. We offer street outreach services throughout all of the county through various providers where they go out and engage with individuals who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness, who may be found in a park, at a bus stop, or on some property where they need engagement and the offering of services. We also work with the Community Services Board, who provides mental health and substance addiction treatment supports in collaborating and doing that street outreach. And sometimes it does really take a number of team members and a number of community groups. I can recall earlier this year, we worked with the Gum Springs, with the association down there, and working on an encampment and finding ways to engage individuals to engage with services. Drop-in services run through our emergency shelter programs. People are able to come in and access case management services several days out of the week. And then we offer a variety of housing programs, such as permanent supportive housing, which is a longer-term housing subsidy with wraparound case management services. There's also a program called Rental Subsidy and Services Program, or RSSP, which is a local rental program that we're able to match households, both singles and families, to longer-term housing opportunities within the county. And then we run a rapid rehousing program, which is very intensive case management with short-term financial assistance to support households with a rapid exit from homelessness into permanent housing, and includes services such as employment, education access, and support with navigating public benefits. Our programs, we also collaborate with the county's health department through the homeless healthcare program, where they provide medical street outreach to individuals to help connect them to medical care opportunities, to dental services, and to really focus on the physical well-being of individuals who are experiencing homelessness. Two of our shelters provide medical respite beds at the Bailey Shelter and Embry-Rucker. And then we work in collaboration with the Department of Public Works Stormwater Management on a program called Operation Stream Shield, which provides opportunities for individuals to get on-the-job training on various projects across the county, including some cleanup opportunities, recycling opportunities, and just a variety of times where they can get that on-the-job training to build towards a resume, with the ultimate goal of leading to more consistent full-time employment opportunities. All of these programs are run by various partners and nonprofit organizations. And just earlier today, actually this afternoon, we publicly announced new contracts awarded to 4 providers in our community: Facets, Shelter House, Cornerstones, and the Lamb Center, that are going to be running all of these programs that are listed here on this current slide. Earlier this year, we announced, and the Department of Housing and Community Development took over operations of the Eleanor Kennedy Shelter and the associated programs in Human Services Region 1, and the Bailey Shelter and Supportive Housing programs in Region 2, which is the eastern and central part of the county, from New Hope Housing. And just like I said earlier today, we were able to announce that Shelter House will be taking over the operations in Region 1. And so they will be running the Eleanor Kennedy Shelter, street outreach services, medical respite programs called Monlock House and Monlock Place, which are both mental health related shelter and permanent supportive housing, and as well as the seasonal overflow at the Eleanor Kennedy Shelter. And then Facets will be taking over operations of the Bailey Shelter and Supportive Housing, street outreach, and hypothermia programs there. And so we're excited to be able to make that public announcement today. And these contracts went into effect on the 15th of November. And for those 2 sites in particular, we will be working with both Facets and Shelter House on a transition plan, as we have been supporting the staff on site from our office at OPEH to continue the services to serve our neighbors and community members who are experiencing homelessness. Next slide, please. So faith communities play such a special role in the work that we do of ending homelessness. So many faith communities have various parts of their community that are focusing on missions or outreach, or there's so many different titles that come with the ministries that take place in these faith communities. And it's really driven by compassionate, service-minded individuals. And that's such a key part to this, is like I said, a big focus on what we do is to center on compassion and working to understand the stories and the histories of individuals who have experienced these unfortunate events that have led to the experiences of homelessness. One big thing, and we definitely rely very heavily on our faith community partners during this time of year, is that facilities can host or support opportunities to serve and really make a difference in the lives of individuals. The hypothermia season, and I'll dive a little bit more into it here. Many houses of worship and communities of faith across Fairfax County and in the city of Falls Church open up their doors for evenings and overnights to let people come in from the cold. And it is variety of sizes and variety of ways that those communities serve. And I think that that's one of the most beautiful things, is that that is an expression of that faith community's mission of service, and the people and how they have dedicated this offering or this opportunity to bring people out of the cold. There are also missions to serve the most vulnerable individuals. Yesterday, I had an opportunity to speak at a forum in Reston, hosted by Cornerstones, and it was very evident to see so many faith partners gathering together and say, "This is how we serve," whether it is through support with immigration, for food insecurity, housing, affordable housing, homelessness services, education, so many different ways. And there are just dedicated individuals and then groups within these faith communities that make a difference. And also, faith communities are rooted across our county and across our communities. That is I think one of the most beautiful things, is that neighborhoods kind of have evolved around places of worship in so many communities. And I think that is absolutely true here within Fairfax County. Next slide, please. So there are so many different ways to partner with the Fairfax County Office of Prevent and End Homelessness. I'm going to drop a 2-page flyer here into the chat. This is also found through, if you to go onto the fairfaxcounty.gov website and you go to the search bar and you type homeless, that will go to the Office of Prevent and End Homelessness webpage, which has a number of different links and resources related to the point in time count, where we count every year to understand what is the presence of homelessness in our community. And with this too, we also put a lot of information about hypothermia services. And on that flyer, on the second page, you will see all of the various programs that are supporting services. Diego mentioned that Rising Hope Mission Church, they are actually going to be providing our hypothermia support services in the South County this year. They will directly be providing those services. And on that second page, you'll say, if you're interested in donating or volunteering, here are the points of contact. For all of our different locations, there are points of contact. So if you see someone who is in need, who is out there in the cold, in the evenings or in the overnight, depending on what your schedules are, there are resources and there are points of contact that you can connect them with. One of the ways that faith community support is, again, through hosting hypothermia shelters or partnering with one. We understand that communities of faith come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. The faith community you may be with has a small building, or you could be within a house church community. There are still ways that you can partner to volunteer with other groups and other churches and faith communities to help serve and support individuals who come indoors during this winter season. Providing meals to outreach or to shelters. This is a wonderful way to express hospitality. And I know that I've been based out of our Bailey's shelter much of the last couple of months, and have seen so many individuals come in with prepared meals or bagged lunches to be able to have distributed to those in need. There are a lot of individuals that come in because they need that food resource on a daily basis, and they know that it can be consistently provided there. And this is a wonderful way to connect and support individuals who are experiencing this hardship. Offering spiritual support or fellowship. I think one of the most important ways of supporting individuals who are experiencing homelessness, beyond providing opportunities for shelter and housing, is in the relational opportunities that come. A lot of times, individuals who are experiencing homelessness are often kind of villainized, or they're seen as an other group. And these are individuals who have experienced incredible traumas, interruptions in their lives, but yet they still have threads of strength and resilience. And there's so many opportunities that you learn those things by asking questions, introducing yourself, asking an individual what their name is and having the conversation. And that can take place around the table during a meal. And I will admit, it is not comfortable. It is probably one of the most uncomfortable things to approach a stranger, to be able to have conversation. But there are some amazing people out there. I always think of ushers and greeters at houses of worship. They talk with so many people. They are the ones that are the welcome ministries for so many churches. And these are so important, and they're just essential activities. So being able to engage with people, whether it's through spiritual support or fellowship, connecting to community is so important. Collecting or donating essential items. During the cold weather season, all of our various nonprofit organizations maintain lists of needs, whether it be coats, hats, gloves, hand warmers, blankets, sleeping bags, so many different items. There are different ways that faith communities can get involved with donating items to locations to be able to be distributed to those during the cold weather season. And another way is also supporting move-ins or stabilization. There are a number of individuals that during the hypothermia season, because our system expands exponentially by several hundred beds and mats to accommodate those coming out of the cold, we don't just provide that respite and that shelter. We also continue to work on solutions to ending homelessness. And so some individuals are able to obtain opportunities to move into permanent housing and stable housing opportunities. But sometimes there's one thing about accessing housing, but then making housing a home for someone is another important part of establishing meaning and value to that new home. And so some faith communities in the past have offered kits like, here's a cook kit, here's the kitchen items to be able to prepare your own food, because if an individual is in shelter, they're now moving where they were getting their food. They now have to prepare their food, and they're going to need ways to be able to prepare it, or the linens or towels or things like that. So there are many opportunities to support stabilization and move-ins. Next slide, please. So hypothermia prevention program, or what we call in the short hypo, this season begins with the opening of our winter seasonal overflow, which actually started this past weekend on November 15th. This is where all of our emergency shelters, Embry-Rucker, Eleanor Kennedy, and Bailey's, expand their capacity and serve roughly about an additional 150 to 200 individuals that they can accommodate in open spaces during the evening and overnight hours to bring people in from the cold. We also expanded slightly before the season because there were a handful of days that were pretty cold before November 15th. And anytime that temperature hits 36 degrees or lower, we activate that system for overflow to allow individuals to come indoors and out of the cold. The full hypothermia prevention program, however, runs from December 1st through March 31st. And this is where we partner with various faith partners. We also operate with Rising Hope Mission Church this year in Region 1 in the South County. And then we also expand and open up space at the North County Human Services Building in Reston to accommodate additional individuals out of the cold. But in western and central and eastern and central parts of Fairfax County, this is where the bulk of our collaboration with faith partners really takes place. And those can range on a week-to-week basis to be able to support individuals coming in. And so each of those emergency shelters then coordinate all of the transportation for individuals to get to those locations every evening, and then also to help transport those individuals back to those hubs at those emergency shelters in the morning. The hypo partners often will provide meals or snacks. It provides a safe space that is warm and an opportunity to connect with others. And there's a lot of support. There's training and logistics that are provided by our office. Dee Johnson, who is our program manager for adults only households, is the one that manages and coordinates a lot of that training and logistics. And I will have her contact information here at the end of the slides. Next. One of the key approaches that we have here in Fairfax County is one called trauma-informed care. And it's such a vital approach because trauma-informed care is based on this assumption that everyone has a story or has been impacted by some sort of narrative or event or exposure where may have experienced trauma, and that trauma can manifest in various ways that often are can both be visible through adaptive behaviors, what people have been able to do in order to survive, and sometimes those behaviors may not look to be um, good. They may appear as what some would say are negative, but they are adaptive to help them survive their situations. And there are other ways where those trauma impacts are not going to be seen as well. And so, what we encourage individuals when you're engaging with individuals who have experiencing or are experiencing homelessness is to approach gently, not to force engagement, but to be able to create space for opportunity to engage with guests. Always focus on building spaces that are safe, that are focused on establishing trust, and to empower the individual to be the one that is in control of those engagements. That's a really important part to the trauma-informed approach. Always use a calm and respectful body language and tone. I would also say proximity and distance to individuals when you're communicating. And then also avoid pressing for personal stories or solutions. This is really important because some individuals, you ask one question and the whole narrative of their life and everything that has taken place may come out. In other individuals, it may take, you have that conversation, the introduction on that first day of that week of hypo, and then you get the story by Saturday, just as they are getting ready to move on to the next destination. But all of it is still such an essential part of establishing community and connection. Next slide. So just a couple of do's and don'ts that we encourage with building trust and connection with individuals. Greet people warmly and introduce yourself. Do not give out personal information, phone, address, social media. Really guard those boundaries well. If you are engaging with individuals, make sure to do that in those communal spaces so that there is a safe space for everyone. Always offer choices, not commands. Don't direct individuals, but offer the opportunity. Would you like to sit here, or what would you like to do? That is a key thing with allowing individuals to feel that they have empowerment of their space, as well as understanding what the boundaries are. Always ask permission before offering help. It just takes a simple asking a question. Can I do? May I do? Really goes a long way. It allows them to, again, have the choice of accepting or declining that help. And respect personal space and boundaries. Don't assume that you know their situation. You may have been working in this field for a long time. Every individual's experience is unique and different. And if we assume what we know, that usually tends to backfire and cause a lot of challenges. And also, don't judge appearances or behavior. One of the things over the years that I've really worked with, and I worked in a role with behavioral as a behavioral analyst for a number of years, working with kids who are on autism spectrum, and we always talked about behavior as adaptive. Behavior is done to work to meet a need that the individual has. And again, behaviors, if they're seen as that adaptive approach to meet a need, helps to kind of remove the good and bad behavior. Sometimes it's better to refer to it as safe or not safe behavior versus good or bad, to be able to continue to engage with individuals and continuing to center safety in all engagements and opportunities. And I think that is the next to last slide. And so, Lindsay, I don't know how much time you want to have for questions. I saw a bunch of things start to pop up here in the chat as I was talking.
Yeah.
But happy to try and answer questions. And again, I will admit, Dee Johnson is our point person. She has done this. This will be her third or fourth season doing this. Again, I'm still relatively new to the county. And so I constantly look to Dee to say, how do we do this? What are we doing here? To be able to support our individuals who are in need, but also our faith partners during this important and critical time of the year.
Awesome. Thank you, Sean, for sharing that information. If you all would like to take a picture of Dee's contact information, I'll let you go ahead and do that. And then what I'll do is I'll stop sharing the slide and perhaps we can address some of the questions in the chat. So I know, Leslie, you had a question. Leslie Woods, are you able to unmute yourself and share? I saw that you typed quite a bit in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
Sure. Hi. I'm sorry. I'm in a high school cafeteria with 80 theater kids.
We can't hear any of them, so it's okay.
Oh, good. Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so I both volunteer as the hypo coordinator for Fairfax Presbyterian, and I also work at Burke United Methodist. I run their food pantry. And so I had put in a couple of things. One was like if you all have like a collected list of services that different organizations provide that we can use as a referral sheet, that would be really helpful. The example I put in the chat was that today I got two different people who came to shop for food at my food pantry asked about winter coats, and Burke United Methodist doesn't do winter coats. So I think my colleague referred them to Echo. But so, if there is a church that does a winter coat drive or something like that, like if you all know that sort of thing, that's a really helpful resource to share. And then the other piece that I was just lifting up was as somebody who works with two different churches hosting hypo. In the last couple of years since COVID, we've gotten a lot of support from the county in paying for cleaning services during and after our hypo week, which is, really kind of essential. It's a lot of people sleeping on, your carpeted fellowship hall floor, and things need to be deep cleaned, and we need extra time with the cleaners during the day so that in between hypo nights, we get everything clean and ready to go again. So anyway, so we've been having trouble and getting payment for last year, and then also had been told that we won't be getting reimbursed for cleaning services this year. And so I just wanted to bring that up because I think that's a real barrier for participation, especially for churches that don't have a really high cash flow. So yeah, I'll stop talking. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I will. Let me try and address, but I think the first question, I think really key having our partners from coordinated services planning. That definitely that is a realm that they really work and coordinate and connect the dots across the county, and what those services and resources are. I think there's like an online search or something like that, if I understand. In terms of with the cleaning, I will admit I am not as close to that. I would definitely reach out to Dee, and I'm going to drop my contact information into the chat as well. If you have specific questions or concerns about that, I think it's important that we be able to hear that and respond. Again, I'm not as close to that process, so it's hard for me to be able to speak very specifically about that, but I am happy to do the legwork to get a better understanding of what changed between the seasons regarding that.
And to add on to the first, I guess, statement that you shared, Leslie, like Sean said, we have a great coordinated services planning team. So usually when people come to us with a need, we direct them to them. But Zora put in the chat our neighborhood and community services resource guide. So when you go to this website, you're able to find resources for food services. You can find farmers markets, baby formulas. You can find children's health, dental health. So that's a really great connector. Sean, we attended the forum yesterday with Cornerstones, and I know that they sent out some resources or gave us a resource packet. So I'll see, like, once they email that out, if that's something that I can share with you all. And then I also know that we do have, this is more so related to food, but we do have our emergency food access provider map. And So you can use that map to find out where there's food distribution, but you can also see on here some toiletries and household items are offered, baby food and baby formula. So that's another space where you can access or be aware of offerings around the county. Let's see. I know that there was another okay, we talked about the cleaning services. Let's see. Fazia, when supporting the unhoused population, you discussed emergency support. Does medical coverage ever become a challenge? Understanding trauma may be a factor. Are the shelters able to offer hygiene education?
So, in terms of emergency support for medical, we our emergency shelters coordinate with the health department, and they provide a nurse on site at our emergency shelters a couple times per week. And I do know that they will work and engage. Of course, this is a service that is meant to kind of assess and triage, and of course, connect people to higher level of care. We're not able to do extensive medical support at our emergency shelters. It's just not the right environment to do anything intensive. But there's a lot of health education that also takes place there, and so hygiene is a big thing that we do discuss. We do offer showers, laundry at all of our emergency shelters, and so it is usually an aspect, as well as distribution of hygiene items like dental care, deodorants, feminine hygiene products, all of these various elements that are also key donations to our emergency shelters and the hypothermia programs. But it is something that we work and address on here and there as necessary. But we also understand that sometimes hygiene concerns is also can be an adaptive behavior that takes place because individuals may want to keep away from others. And this is a way through hygiene management that they're able to create that space.
Thanks, Sean. All right. If you all have any further questions about hypothermia shelters, what I'll be doing is emailing the PowerPoint that Sean shared, and so you'll have Dee's information, and you can reach out to Dee directly to get more information. Oh, I see one other comment really quickly
Yes.
from Bruce. Please describe the county supervision of folks while in churches. Are there people on site during the night?
Yes. So all of our contracted providers that are working with the faith communities, they will send staff. So they are actually support staff that are going to each of the faith partner locations to be there from the start of the evening services until the last person is out of the building each day. So they are generally there we have them report anywhere between 3 and 4 in the afternoon, and they're often still serving until about 8 or 9 in the morning, and then they'll pick up and they'll start again the next evening. So there will never be a site where there are not nonprofit contracted staff there during the hypothermia season.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you, Sean, so much for your time and for that information. And again, I'll make sure to send out the PowerPoint so you all can reach the Office to Prevent and End Homelessness directly if you have any further questions. Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, so while we are on the topic of hypothermia shelters, we will now hear from Officer Tony Capizzi from Fairfax County Police Department, who will share safety guidance and considerations and practical steps for houses of worship to take to keep their congregations safe during this season. So I will now pass this over to Officer Capizzi, and I will start to share my screen.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening, and thank you for having us present today. I'm Tony Capizzi. I'm the Crime Prevention Officer from the West Springfield District Station. I also have my partner on the line, Liam May. He is the Community Outreach Officer. He deals a lot with houses of worship also. So We enjoy coming out to these sorts of things, and we're very thankful for the House of Worship to support such an important program. So we're going to talk from the police aspect side of things, a little bit of the safety about, what the staff can do and the volunteers can do for to increase their safety a little bit. Next slide, please. I know that there's a no turn away policy for the shelters, but my interpretation of that is, yes, you have a no turn away policy, but it does not mean that you have to tolerate excessive behavior, violent behavior, aggressive, or anything else like that. And we'll talk about ways of possibly dealing with such things. One of our other recommendations is limiting the entrances, if possible, to one entrance. We generally like people to come in and out of one entrance. This way you can monitor things a little bit better. People aren't sneaking in. You have no idea where people are maybe going. It's a little bit better for access control. Trying to make sure your entrances are secure. The other entrances are secure before anybody arrives. And then in the evening, as things start to wind down and people start to get settled in, making sure the rest of the entrances are secured, including the main one that people are using, and just have somebody to monitor that entrance for any guests that may arise or if something starts to happen. Next slide, please. Volunteers, we always try to recommend at least 2 volunteers. More is always better. We recommend also male and female volunteers. It's always good. You never know what kind of guests are going to be arriving. So you want to make sure you have a diverse group, if you possibly can, of volunteers. And the reason we recommend at least 2 is there's always, people to watch out for each other. Somebody to, if something starts to, happen, that other person can signal for other help or can contact the police if necessary. Next. Never go somewhere you can't see another volunteer clearly. We don't want people separating. We don't want you necessarily going into a certain area by yourselves with somebody you're not sure of, and somebody you're not maybe, unsure of how they're going to react if you go into a space by yourself. Always be within distance of somebody else. Try to keep a safe distance from people. Try not to get too close. Don't get into their personal bubbles. Try not to be too hands-on or anything like that. Always be aware of your surroundings. What are people doing? What are they reaching for? What are they getting? Just being, who's there? Other volunteers around. If someone starts to become agitated, try to create some distance and put something between you. If you're talking to someone, and if you need to, you can kind of, casually walk behind a table or something like that, or a chair or something to create any kind of distance between you. I know that they don't do bag or property checks, but you never know what people are going to be carrying inside for their self-defense measures or personal property. Try to make sure that there's no access to kitchen knives, any other weapons that could be on the property, because anything can really be used as a weapon against you. Or if you need to, you can use something, but just try to limit the possibility of something that can harm you or somebody else. Next. All right, so if somebody is experiencing a mental health crisis, try to remain calm. I know for some people, this may be the first time they have experienced dealing with somebody in a crisis. The big thing is to try to remain calm. Try to de-escalate, try some active listening, make them feel safe. Calm voice, low voice, escort them from the area to maybe a calmer area. Maybe people are starting to get agitated with each other. Try to, move somebody around and just move that person. You can also contact the police, request a crisis intervention trained officer, or maybe a co-responder team to come out and deal with someone that might be having a crisis at that time. If they don't feel like having maybe an officer on scene, they can always call the 988. It's a national number it's a suicide and crisis lifeline. And they have trained professionals that are always available to speak to people and try to get them through the crisis or to, offer other services. Don't argue about how they feel or what they see. Don't try to, downplay what they're feeling. Don't try to also argue with them. If they see something or if they hear maybe voices, or if they see something that you may not see, don't try to dispute that with them or anything like that. That might just make them more agitated. Just try to calm, remain, open, and try to get that person some help. Part of the remaining calm is the open body language. Don't cross your arms because for some people that can appear to be an aggressive, non-caring kind of posture. Be mindful of your facial expressions. You can have your volunteers attend mental health first aid training offered by Fairfax County. I listed it's on the link there, but I'm not sure how it'll come across when you send it off in the PowerPoint. But if you just go and you look under the Community Services Board, Adult Mental Health First Aid or Mental Health First Aid, there are classes that are available and that they can provide to your community. Next, please. Narcotics and alcohol have a clear policy prohibiting possessing any of these products, any narcotics, any alcohol products, because sometimes that can, thank you, Lindsay, sometimes that can agitate things. If you find narcotics, contact the police. We will have them destroyed. We'll take care of that. Don't argue with the person to surrender any prohibited items you may see or may find. Try to convince them. And if necessary, then you can contact the police. But we don't want people getting into an argument. We don't want a tug of war. We don't want any fights over anything like that. Just remain calm and just let it go for now, and then you can contact us. We also have, through the county, the Community Services Board also offers the Revive program, where it's a free program to train responders or to train the community on how to use naloxone or Narcan. And that, after you complete that training, they do provide a free Narcan. For house of worship, I definitely recommend at least having one or two of these available. And it's not even just for this kind of service. I mean, you never know who's going to be attending a service, and you may need to use Narcan at for one of your parishioners or something like that. So it's always a good program to have. Same with honestly the mental health first aid. You never know when one of the members of the house of worship may go into a mental health crisis, and having that training can maybe help and keep things calm until other help arrives. Next, please. Calling the police, there's a few different ways you can contact us. Of course, in emergency, you can call 911, and that is for, threat to property destruction, in progress sort of, crisis, threat to bodily harm, injury, that sort of thing. You can also contact our non-emergency number at 703-691-2131. That will help with, things that have already happened. Maybe you want some, property for destruction or something like that. You can use that number. And if you're in the middle of something and your partner sees that a guest is getting agitated, and while one person is dealing with the guest, another person can text 911 and explain the situation, because some people don't like, if they see someone on a phone, that also might agitate them. So just texting, it's a normal sort of thing. Everybody texts, everybody's looking on their phone. So people aren't aware that you're actually texting. They think you're just searching, social media or something like that. So texting could also work in these kinds of situations to alleviate the emotions. Again, these numbers are good for regular or, when you're dealing with the shelters, or for your regular life. And the final slide is time for questions and some of my information. I know my partner, he was putting in our information. We also do offer classes at West Springfield, and pretty much all the other district stations offer classes on personal safety. It goes into a little bit more detail about what can be done, what to look for, and how to handle just situations even when you're out in the public. So if you're interested in any of those, you can reach out to myself or Liam, and we'll be glad to put you in the right direction, or even offer the class depending on your location or anything like that. Do we have any questions at this time? No? Okay, well, I appreciate you offering me this moment to talk to you all. And if you have anything you need to reach out at any time, just please reach out to Liam or myself, and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you, Officer Capizzi. I appreciate that information.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Let's see. All right, so to close our presentations today, we will be joined by Luis Ray and Zora Jalil from Coordinated Services Planning. They will be sharing the wide range of basic needs resources available across the county, and now you can help connect community members to support. So let's see. Zora, I see that you're here.
We
Are we ready
probably
to
have,
present?
yes, we are.
Okay.
I'm going to start. Luis will join me in a little bit. I believe you probably do not have our slides, right?
I have a
Um,
PDF version of it, not a PowerPoint.
I'm ready to share. So
Okay.
let's see.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Zora, for being here.
Oh, no problem. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me. And I know it's late, for everyone. I hope Leslie didn't have to leave because she could benefit from this presentation. And I'm glad that it's being recorded. So my name is Zora Jalil. I'm sorry, I kind of have like a few different screens, so I'll be looking at different ones, as I'm maneuvering, the slides as well. So my name is Zora Jalil, and I'm one of the team leaders for Coordinated Services Planning, and I work in the Lacan building in Reston. Today I'll be telling you all a little bit about what Coordinated Services Planning do. Most of you probably know us by the 222 number, so that's where I work. Okay, going to the next slide. Who makes up CSP? CSP was established in 1997 to provide efficient and coordinated access to community-based and public human services. What does that mean? So basically, as we get calls from community members, we complete an assessment, and based on the needs that are reported to us during the call, based on that, we connect them with resources that are provided through community-based organizations, some faith groups, and also resources that are available through the county. In 2020, when the pandemic started, our the call volume rose. It increased. And as a result, we also had a higher number of cases. So that's when we expanded from 4 teams to 5 teams. Currently, we have 5 teams that are stationed in different human services buildings. In 2022, the quality assurance team came about, and that was the reason for that was because after the pandemic and because of the economy, job loss, households were not able to pay their rents and they were being evicted. There was an increase in the number of eviction cases. So that's when we had the federal funding to make sure, to basically prevent those evictions. So for that, in order to have the cases audit ready, and also, when work increases, there is the fear that the quality may go down. So that's why the quality assurance team was added to the CSP team. So, and they were focusing on ensuring that all cases were documented based on the policies and procedures that the CSP had in place. Moving on to the next slide. What do we do exactly? So I'll read the slide, and then I know that the slide is a mouthful, and then I'm going to explain it in my own words, in simpler words. So CSP provides callers direct access to a specialist who will listen to the expressed need, assess the situation, explore possible short and long-term solutions, and coordinate resources within the community. So basically, as we receive a call from the community member, we complete an assessment. Our assessments are designed in a way that Once we complete the assessment, we have sufficient information gathered in that call about the need or needs that are reported to us. And basically, we use that information to connect community members with resources that are available that will meet their needs. And again, we use the information gathered to also create a service plan that will meet both short and long-term goals for the community member. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I know it is a lot of information, but I'll move on to the next slide. So how does CSP work? We have about 47 specialists on 5 teams, and like I said earlier, 1 team in each human service region. And calls are basically answered by whoever that is available, regardless of which location the caller is calling from. We have 2 intake lines, English and Spanish, and then we have staff on board who speak multiple different languages. Some examples are here on the slide. For example, Amharic, French, Italian, Hindi, Dari, Farsi. And then if we don't have staff member on board who speak a language, then we have access to the language line. And that enables us to get an interpreter over the phone right at the moment that the caller is calling us, and we'll be able to help the call using the language line. Hours of operation are Monday to Friday from 8 in the morning until 4:30 p.m. So that's our work time. And who do we serve? Basically, we serve anyone who calls us. We serve individuals, families, human service professionals. We have a lot of county agencies who call us for information on resources, or staffing their cases with us to find out what resources we recommend for their clients. We basically serve anyone seeking information on referral. Most services basically that we provide are for Fairfax County residents. Specific services may have income requirements. And if we have callers who are calling from outside of Fairfax County, in those cases, we basically refer them to their local information and referral agency or to 211 for connection to resources in their own community. Okay. What to expect when you call CSP? So basically, when we receive a call, the specialist who is available will answer the call and will complete an assessment. The assessment takes about 40 to 50 minutes. I say 40 to 50 minutes, and if you ever hear that, from the community members that they have spent a little longer over the phone, it can depend on a lot of different things. Sometimes language barrier or the use of language line can make a call longer than 40 or 50 minutes. But yes, so after that assessment is completed, we gather sufficient information in that assessment about the needs, and then we come up with a service plan. Of course, we come up with the service plan together with the community member. And then that service plan will include resources both from the community-based organizations, or any resources that are available through the county. So the information gathered through the assessment, it is documented in our database, both assessment and the service plan, needs, outcomes, and referral sources, they're all documented in our database. And depending on what the need is, we may require some documentation, especially when the request is for financial assistance. Any rental assistance calls, or security deposit, for example, utility assistance, in those cases, we definitely require documents. Collaboration with community partners, like I said, we refer to community-based organizations and any other resources out there that we know that may provide the services that the community member needs. So as we screen for financial assistance with rent, utilities, security deposit, moving assistance, or storage fees, or if we screen for food requests or clothing and furniture, we refer to community-based organizations. I'm just gonna, or if we have requests for assistance with prescriptions, hearing aids, or dental needs, we refer to community-based organizations again. So these are some of the major organizations that we refer to. For example, if we have a community member who's calling us from Reston area, we know that we can definitely refer them to Herndon Instant Fish or Cornerstones for food, for example. To get we will refer them for food to Cornerstones, and then Herndon Instant Fish is the organization that will provide some financial assistance with rent and utilities. So basically, as we screen for any of the basic needs requests, we refer them to the community-based organizations mostly. We also refer to the homeless services. So basically, homeless services, we do the pre-screening for families with minor kids. It's very important to remember that we only do the pre-screening. And what that involves is basically once we complete the assessment, and if we know that they meet the criteria for a referral to the homeless services for shelter, we refer, and then the shelter takes on. We don't determine shelter placement. We do not do that. The shelter basically, once the case is assigned to a provider, then they contact the community member and they further assess the household for any possible resources. Basically, two types of resources provided through the homeless services for those households, either, if they qualify for shelter, if they are literally homeless or becoming homeless in less than 3 days, they will be considered for shelter. If they meet all the eligibility criteria, and then if the other service that they may be able to get is case management. So it's going to depend on the assessment that the shelter will complete. Basically, that will determine what services they will get. Okay. So
I can.
Oh, Luis is here. Okay.
Sorry.
Hi, Luis.
Okay, if you can.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. So just to kind of piggyback on what Zora was talking about as community-based organizations that we work with, and with this map shows the partnerships that we have, and this isn't the end all list. We have so many partnerships. This is some of the main organizations we work with. We have so many other partnerships with a lot of faith-based and nonprofit partners all throughout the county. Next slide, please. The collaboration with the other county agencies. These are just some examples. We've been talking homeless services, collaboration with Office of Prevent and End Homelessness. We, like Zora mentioned, we do the initial screening for families, for singles, for adults. We don't do the screening for them. We can provide the contact information directly for those single adult shelters. During hypothermia, there is some obviously some designated areas and phone numbers for them to call. Then we also do the initial screening for DFS, children, youth, and families, for CCC plus waivers, only for minors. Next slide, please. This is just to show a little bit of the call volume, the data that we have. This is just through fiscal year 24. We do have fiscal year 25. We just published it not too long ago, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But this is just to show what it was. This is just an average, the number of calls we receive daily. You can see how it's fluctuated from fiscal year 16, 17. You can see what the pandemic was during fiscal year 21, where there's some days it reached up to 730 calls. That was on average. I think some days we reached like 800, 900 calls a day. But again, this is just a fiscal year. So July 1st, this one was July to the end of June. But this is kind of, now we've kind of tapered off and we are around about, I'd say 400 to 500 calls a day. Next slide, please. This is the emergency food, rent, and utility contacts. So again, the darker line graph here represents the financial assistance with rent. The next one, the middle, is the emergency food, and then finally the utility assistance. These are, again, shows the trend that you can see from each fiscal year. You can see where the pandemic was, and then kind of how things continue to kind of have a similar pattern, where food is still a high need. Rent, as you know, rent has gone up. Just I think the overall standard of living, everything is just more expensive. So the need is still there through all parts of the county. I think I saw a question, but I think we might get to it. Next slide, please. And I don't know, maybe you saw the slides before, the top contact topics that we have. So we define contact topics as anyone who calls us for the 400 to 500 calls that we receive a day. If you call, maybe you know why you're calling. You're calling because you need financial assistance with rent or you need emergency food. But throughout that assessment that we do, that is about 45 minutes long, we ask about everyone in your household. We ask about the school-aged children, the older adults, everyone in between. We ask you about where they live, where they go to school, whether they're connected to any community centers, teen centers, adult day centers, any health insurance, and we ask about demographics. So we get a lot of information, but within getting that information about you and about your household, then we also learn if you are connected to these resources, or if there's some seasonal resources that we have going on, we make sure you're connected to them. I think fuel assistance, energy assistance, that just kind of ended just not too long ago. But then there's also, we're going to come up from like with some winter camps when school's out, and then SAC and summer SAC and things like that. So we're always kind of looking to make sure we make these connections. What you see here is from bottom to top, the emergency rent assistance, again, by fiscal year. These are the top contact topics that we have. So it's rent assistance, it's emergency shelter, utility, community healthcare network, housing search assistance, job search assistance, SNAP inquiries, Medicaid, subsidized housing, and dental care. Those historically have continued to be some of the top calls that we get, not the only ones. Obviously, over the last month and a half, 2 months, a lot with food stamps, SNAP, for everything that was going on. So that came in when every call we got, felt like every other call we got was a food stamps, SNAP related. Obviously, when the government shut down, that was also a high call topic that we received. So things change, ebbs and flows of what we have going on. We had created, so in our system, we have the ability to create new contact topics based on what's going on, real world. When COVID happened, we didn't have a COVID contact topic. We created one, and so we started tracking the trends of how many times someone called related to COVID-19. I think monkeypox, when that was a thing, we created one of those. Every time something happens, government shutdown, furlough, contractors, immigration, things that are happening, those trend. So this is how we capture them. Next slide, please. So this is a link to our page, talks about our data and trends, and we have some printable CSP cards here. I'm gonna, are we okay on time if I go a little bit longer?
Yeah, we should be fine. We have
Okay.
about 20 minutes left, and there are some 2 questions in the chat as well.
Sure. I'm gonna take the screen from, I think, is that Zora you're sharing?
Yes, should I stop?
Okay. So yeah, you can stop it, but I'll take it over in a second. I'm gonna put a link in the chat, and then I'm also gonna share my screen based on that link. So if you want to follow along from that link, that is a public-facing website. So I am sharing my screen now. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes,
I can see it.
Okay, good. Okay, so this is the link I just put in the chat. This is a public-facing website that shows all our data and trends that we have that are published. If you scroll down here, you'll be able to kind of hit the view interactive content, and it shows the density of the basic needs request dashboard. This is interactive, so you can adjust based on what you're looking for, the information you're looking for. These are some of the topics here. You can see by the calendar year, but this is what's selected here, the number of contact topics that we've had. So this is one. Down below, we also have our human services regional breakdown. This one, once it loads, we'll also have here and kind of like the heat map. So again, this, you can pick specific human service region. If you wanted to pick region 3 with that Ruston area, these numbers adjust. And same thing if you wanted to adjust based on the time frame. Maybe you wanted just, this just from January 2024, things adjust. So this is some of the information that we have. And we are in the process of uploading some more recent information. So this is, again, public facing, so you have access to it based on that link I put in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and answer a couple of questions I think we have in the chat.
Yeah, I saw that. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. I was going to invite Sadat to go ahead and if you wanted
yes,
to
feel free,
unmute or,
please.
yeah, share out more, please go right ahead.
Oh, hey, good evening, everyone here. I'm sorry, Lindsay, you did you want me to ask the question? Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. You can feel free to expand on your questions if you need to.
Great. Yeah. So we have a member within our community that he has 2, maybe 3 kids. They're college age, and this individual, he's working 2 jobs. He's highly qualified, highly educated, but he's here in the United States. He's on asylum. I don't believe that he's going to get a response anytime soon. And his children are, he's having to pay the out-of-state tuition. That's just how it works. So if there are resources or any programs that he could look into that could cover the cost of those expenses, that would certainly be helpful. Yeah.
For tuition specifically. So there's not, there's always different programs, and I know we always connect with, Virginia Career Works and see what they have going on. A lot of the resources, the majority of the resources that we have are related to rent assistance and utility assistance. Sometimes what we do is, I'll just say as an example, and I know out-of-state tuition, and obviously depending on how many credits you're taking, it's going to be a lot of money. But some of the support that we do is, and I'll give you an example, if somebody calls and says, I'm having trouble paying attorney fees for anything, and we don't have a resource that pays attorney fees, but what we can do is we'll kind of do an assessment, offer an assessment, and then perhaps we offer to help with your rent. And so if your rent is $2,000 or $2,500 or maybe $3,000, we'll try to help you with your rent, so then you can use that money that you would have paid your rent towards the cost of tuition or towards the cost of attorney fees or whatever you have. So we try to get creative.
That is actually smart. I did not even think about that. That actually does make sense. Yeah, these are some bright kids that he has, and the concern, and they're it's full-time schooling, and they don't want to go part-time. It's just going to delay the entire process.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely have them give us a call. We always try to find a creative way to help, and just like, hey, let me know what your expenses, what do they look like, and your true need is this, and understood that this is another way we can resolve that in just a unique way.
Sure. Can I ask one more question, if that's okay?
Go for it.
So, and I must have missed the part where I think it was Zora that was explaining earlier. So is it the county that is assisting, or is it sort of like the county and everyone that is working with with the county that's pulling in and assisting.
Are you referencing like the fund, like the money, the funding, where
Correct.
the funding
That's
is coming
right.
from?
Yeah.
So it really depends. I mean, it's a lot of our nonprofits that we work with. There's different pots of money that they have access to. Some
Okay.
of those pots of money are county resources. Some are CCFP, Consolidated Community Funding Pool money. Some of it is their own donations, and some of it is their own. So it really depends where we go as to how to answer that question. So it could be county resource, but it could be their own funding also.
Okay. You guys are fantastic. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, Brooke, I see you in the chat. Do you want to
Mm-hmm.
unmute?
I sent my question, so I'm just curious.
All right,
Create a
I will.
service plan. Sure, I'll read it. Can you expand on what it means to create a service plan with short and long-term goals? How are you following up with people who are calling in and receiving services from community resources? So, and Zora, please feel free to chime in and kind of connect with this. The way I see it is when you call in and again, we ask a lot of questions just to better understand your story, because we're not going to understand your full life story in 45 minutes. But from what we gather, we understand that, there is a need that you're calling about. And so we do ask about your expenses and what you have going on. And maybe you're sharing that you spend, $600-700 in food and groceries, that you spend maybe $200-300 on cell phone bills and cable, and you're telling us that you have this much in utilities and you have this much. So our service plan, okay, we understand your number one need. The reason you're calling is about rent, but we're also looking at other things within your budget. There happens to be resources here that if you tap into it, there's this free cell phone service that if you use this, you can eliminate this bill. There's childcare subsidy program that we have a referral source for, that if you access this childcare service, or at least call and find out, maybe you can reduce something over here. Maybe you're talking about budgeting and you're not sure what to do. We can refer to our partners with Bright Paths and their Financial Empowerment Center, and they have like financial literacy classes. So their plans, there's things that we do with you to see that it makes sense, because sometimes it's not within, like, maybe you're working 2 jobs and it's just you don't have time to do all that. So what is realistic for you? So it's like a plan that we try to make together, things that you say maybe you'll follow up with, to help stretch your budget. How we got into the situation. Maybe you were renting a room and that person left, and that's how you got into the situation. Maybe your rent is currently $2,800, and that's just base rent. It doesn't include all the extra fees. So after you pay all that, it's 32, whatever. And so we have our partners with the Eviction Prevention Intervention Unit that have like a housing counseling piece that they do. So if that's appropriate and that's something that you would be interested in, we refer you to them, and they'll give you options about, there's these subsidized housing programs that are open right now, or there's just within housing, there's so much that goes on there, whether it's open, housing wait lists that come and go, or there's specific ADUs, affordable dwelling units, workforce dwelling units. There's Fairfax County is so resource rich. I always say, I don't know if it's impossible, but it's extremely hard for any one person to know about all the resources. So we try our best to stay connected to what's going on, but we very often leverage our networks and our partners for that additional support and help also. So we look to create that plan with you, just to make sure that, yes, we're addressing your immediate need, but you know what? It's November right now. When it comes to January, February, you're going to need tax prep services. And there is this VITA organization that will do it. If you're within this income, they'll do your taxes for free. And so have that in the back of your mind. We're doing this now, tax prep here. So we're kind of sort of creating the short and long-term plans. And Zora, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
think you got it, unless Brooke needs further explanation. I think, Louise, you did a very well-rounded explanation there. So basically in the assessment, we gather information about the need, what is the need? And then in the service plan comes the resources, that will help them meet that either one or two or three needs, that they reported during the assessment.
Bruce, you can go ahead.
Sure, yeah, thank you all. In years past, we had sort of a cycle where people would show up, at services or other times we were open to asking, and it would lead to, gee, I need to get to my job, and we're down, in the south central of the county to the north of the county, and we were giving them, a few of the nice, very nice members would take them in their cars up, and oftentimes it was not, they really didn't have a job, or maybe, and then sometimes the people that wanted directions on how to get to maybe a food bank or something of that sort. I was just wondering if there are any programs for people to subsidize transportation, and I mean, even, I know this sounds ridiculous, but sort of a emergency Uber for someone who really needs to get to somewhere very quickly. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Transportation is a huge need. I mean, we often, I think one of the big, and not the only one, but one of the biggest things we see is when someone gets a job, and they haven't gotten paid yet, and maybe they're 2-3 weeks away from a first paycheck, but they need to get to work, and their work doesn't happen to be walking distance, and it's a long commute. So we do have resources within the county. We do have partners that we work with where we can leverage some like bus fare, Metro fare. Metro is a thing where they can help with like the first, I think it's like up to $40 worth of transportation assistance. Now it's public transportation. I know Uber is a very real thing and things that we use often. There's other resources we have, and I can certainly put a link, or at least it's not related to employment, but I know with employment, we try to make sure that we do verify that they are working there and that we will help them. The other rides that we're currently doing, and this is more of a seasonal thing, it runs through the end of December, is I'm going to put the picture in the chat. And does everyone have access to the chat? Or if not, Lindsay, can I send it to you also? If not,
Sure,
everyone
yeah.
can see the
Everyone
chat.
should, oh, unless they're on the phone or something like that. But yeah, everyone should be able to see it, but
Okay.
please feel free to send that to me as well.
Okay, so I'll put it in the chat, and I'll kind of talk about it, and you put the tops in there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think we're in sync, and everyone, as far as what we're doing. So there's taxi rides, and this is not related to employment, but this is related to for non-emergency medical appointments. So if you are a senior 50 plus and or with a disability, so you could be 30 years in disability, or you're 50 and you need to go to a non-emergency medical appointment, please call us. We can schedule a free taxi. I think it's Yellow Top. I think Zora, is that right? Yellow Top taxi ride. And so call CSP. We'll set this up and then we'll get, I think we need at least 48 hours just in advance. And then we'll set up the taxi ride for you. The only catch, I say catch is a bad thing, but the only catch is that the ride has to begin and end round trip within Fairfax County. So I know sometimes people have appointments in Arlington or in DC or in other parts outside of Fairfax County. So as long as your ride begins and ends in Fairfax County, we can schedule that ride. We've had people that call us because they know they have 5 appointments over the next 5 weeks, every week. Guess what? We can do every week until the end of December. So please take advantage. Please share this, with your networks. Lindsay, I'll send it to you so you can kind of help circulate, because it is something that we're working with Cynthia and Valeska and her team. with mobility, and they're kind of organizing that, but they're kind of filtering things through us so we can kind of do the scheduling piece. So I think that was Bruce. Did I get your name right, Bruce?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
But that's probably, you're talking about something that has to be scheduled in advance as opposed to someone just showing up and wanting assistance.
Yeah, the taxi rides that I'm talking specifically about needs at least 48 hours for scheduling. And so if somebody calls, I'll say tomorrow Wednesday, right? So tomorrow someone calls Wednesday at 10 a.m. and say, hey, I start my job tomorrow Thursday. We can work something out where we can get them, some bus tokens to get to work the next day. They would just have to figure out a way to get to one of our local offices, like in Fairfax and Alexandria, Annandale, Ruston, and in one of the offices they can pick up these bus tokens. So it could be pretty quick that way, pretty same day, but that is like the immediate response for that. I think I saw another question. Oh, you got it, Lindsay.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, I actually did not answer that other question. So yes,
Can the
but
taxi
really
be
quickly.
for person spouse? Yes, Kenya. So there is that you are allowed to have one ride, I'll call it a ride, partner to ride with you. And the catch to that is they have to be picked up at the same location. So I can't say I need a ride. I'm a person with a disability. But my spouse, my partner, my aide is 5 blocks away. We have to be picked up at the same location and dropped off at the same location.
Awesome. Thanks, Luis.
Mm-hmm. So this is just an example. Obviously, the free taxi rides is not like a forever thing. It's a grant that they have, and it ends at the end of December. But like one of these things is like resources come and go, so there may be other things coming in the new year, in the calendar year. So always good to just call us if whatever's going on, and we'll try to get creative and see what's going on, what resources we can tap into.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Wonderful. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I will be sending out the PowerPoints from the presentation so you can have the information with you, and you can also have the contact information for our presenters. I will also send out the recording of the meeting as well. So just give me a little bit of time for our communications team to get that over to me. But thank you so much to Zora, Louise, Officer Capizzi, and Sean Reed for all presenting today. We greatly appreciate your time and your information. Before we close out, does anyone have any upcoming events, outreach opportunities, or announcements that they would like to share with the group?
Lindsay, I would certainly like to do that, but I'm just going to hold for now. Would love to do that in the next meeting.
That sounds great. And as a bit of a segue to that, let's say you don't have something to share right now, but you have something maybe in the next few days. So our next edition of The Common Ground, our interfaith newsletter, will be coming out in early December. So please send me any submissions, any information that you would like to be distributed through that newsletter to me no later than close of business. That's going to be next Friday. So not this one coming, but next Friday, November 28th. And I'll put our guidelines in the chat just so you all are aware of what information I can send out. Diego, go ahead. What question do you have?
Hi, everyone. Once again, this is just more of an announcement. So the Mount Vernon District Office is hosting our annual food drive. The food drive is for students of Mount Vernon High School. All of our donations will be heading to Mount Vernon High School. So this is just a reminder to everyone that is going to be available until December 5th. So if able and if willing, please go ahead and head to the Mount Vernon District Office. We have an area in our front lobby where we're collecting donations. So thank you everyone in advance for that.
Wonderful. Thanks for letting us know. Any other updates? Okay. Well, just a reminder that our next meeting will be in January of 2026. I can't believe we're already, the holiday season is upon us. So I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you for your time, your partnership, and your commitment to our county and to supporting our communities. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone.
Bye,
Thank you. Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.